one date that was in between. And I sort of went, like, why? And he said, well, we need to film vignettes. And so they flew me out. So I remember, like, finishing up at Gladiators, and it was at Jefferson Studios, like, getting in a cab straight to Heathrow, flying to Nashville, Terry picking me up at the airport in Nashville, me going and doing, like, these horrible vignettes where I was, like, completely, you know, like, completely jet-lagged and paled and, like, looked like death. Like, and they said, just bring workout gear, you know. So I did just bring workout gear, and I was basically, like, in, like, you know, it just looked horrible. I go back and look at it now, but I'm like, you know, if they just given me some idea of, like, what I was going to do, like, I would have brought the right stuff, but I just was like, well, maybe they didn't tell me that, like, until I got there what we were doing. Like, so I just thought that maybe they wanted to, like, see me actually wrestle, and, like, you know, Terry wanted to maybe, like, roll around in the ring with me or something like that. And then, like, they take me to the Vanderbilt campus in Nashville, which has a mock coliseum.
Right.
You know, because you're going to be a gladiator, and, you know, because you're a gladiator, and we'll have you running up the steps, and, like, it'd be really cool. We'll shoot at, like, 5 a.m. Like, it'd be really, like, foggy, and, you know, blah, blah, blah. It'd be awesome, you know. So, like, okay. So I do all this stuff, and I record these voiceovers, and, like, all this, you know, and then, like, meet Dixie and meet everyone at the offices and everything like that. Jump right back on a plane and go straight back. And like, next thing I know, these vignettes are airing, and I'm just, like, looking at them going, like, geez, like, you know, it happened, like, you know, of course everything was so sort of, like, rush. And then I started on the UK tour, and they said, like, you know, what gear have you got? And I sort of said, well, here's what I'm going to have done. And I, you know, got someone to make me some new tights and, like, this and that. And then they sort of, I don't know whether it was them or me, but, like, someone, you know, I got, like, a costume. I ordered some stuff from, like, a costume store that was, like, a sort of brown leather, like, gladiator skirt thing, you know, with the sort of...
Oh, I remember. I dream about this, Nick.
Oh, boy.
I dream about this.
Oh, boy.
Oh, yes.
And then, like, and I sort of put this sort of mock sort of get-up together. Because no one's told me, like, wear this or don't wear this or wear, like, whatever. Like, I could have, you know, I had no idea. So then I show up, and, you know, I did the UK tour, like, I mean, you know, muddled my way through, like, a few matches on this, you know, on the UK tour or whatever. I started TV, like, you know, I wasn't allowed to wrestle when I was doing Gladiators. Like, even though I probably did a few sneaky butt-ins for Dixon.
Uh-huh.
Like, other than that, like, you know, so, like, not only was I completely, like, green as grass anyway, I hadn't wrestled in ages. So, like,
how was you feeling going on this UK tour with the likes of Scott Steiner and Sting and these big names, and yourself, self-admittedly at the time, being, you know, not particularly good?
Rotten is the word I would use.
Rotten is the word I was going to use. You know, you were rotten at the time, Nick. How was you greatly intimidated?
I was terrified. I had no idea what to do. But it's like, I sort of look back at it now and go, I'm so lucky they didn't just can me after, like, a month and just go, like, that was the shits, you know. And, you know, I do remember being, like, especially worried about Bully Ray and Scott Steiner. Like, they were the two guys. Like, I knew that I can't remember who else was on that actual tour. Like, I knew Mick Foley was on it because I did some media with Mick, but Mick was super cool to me and really, really nice to me.
This all comes together. You move out to America, and you form the British Invasion with Doug Williams. Now, for those that don't know, obviously Doug, when I think he was in TNA for around 5 years, very much respected in the UK, been out to Japan a lot. I'm assuming they put you with Doug to learn the ropes, so to speak. Yeah,
I think. Well, you're forgetting the red hot streak I had of about 3 weeks with the infamous helmet, the Gladiator helmet.
Of course, yeah, I forgot the helmet as well.
I was in the middle of telling that story and then I got sidetracked. But I remember, like, getting to TV and having, like, a jobber match with, like, Shark Boy and you know being told to, like, squash Shark Boy in 3 minutes or whatever. And I came back and Vince Russo comes, like, he's got this walk, like he has this, he's got this stupid sort of swanky sort of walk, and he kind of like, you know, he's always like his jeans are always like hanging halfway around his ass, and he's kind of like, and he comes like sidling up to me, and he's like, hey bro, like, you know, I wish I would have known that that's what you were gonna go out in, bro. Like I wanted something way more dramatic, and I sort of went, what, you mean my outfit? And he's like, yeah. He's like, nobody told you? Like, that's not what I had in mind at all. He's like, we got to change this. And I'm sort of like, okay, but that was just on TV. So, like, you could have, you know, I just kind of showed up. Like, I thought maybe someone would take a look at me before but anyway.
Well, you actually, yeah.
Okay, got it. You know what I mean? So then they go away, and we go to Jolene, who makes all the gear for all the guys and stuff, and they give her all these, you know, they get her to measure me up, and they give her these drawings and stuff. And then I show up at the next tapings, and here's this black leather, like, get up with like a skirt and a sash and this arm thing and like spikes on it, and like, you know, I was putting it on thinking like, what's the safe word? You know what I mean? But like, and then Jolene sort of looks at me and she's like, oh, one more thing.
Oh no.
He brings out the helmet. And you know, and I can just feel everyone just like thinking like, what the fuck is that? I just sort of look at this, and like Russo, you know, just when, you know, right when someone sort of, I think somebody in there, I forget who it was, but like one of the boys is like, what do you think about that? You know what I mean? Like, they don't want to say like, which is code word for that's fucking retarded, and you know.
You must have thought this must have been one giant rib.
I did, and then at the same time, I just thought, you know, all I could think of was a Shockmaster.
Yes, yeah.
All I could think of was a Shockmaster, and I'm like, and just as I'm getting ready to like say, you know, something diplomatic, like, well, you know, it's not exactly what I had in mind, but never mind, kind of thing. In comes Russo, like, bro, I love it. That's exactly what we need, bro. Like, this is it, you know, like. And I'm just thinking, like, oh my god.
Not exactly known for his tremendous ideas, though. Not all the time, anyway. Not all the time.
Yeah. And
what is your relationship with Vince Russo?
It was all right. I mean, like, he, you know, I would get frustrated with him because I just hated the way that he treated everything like a joke. You know what I mean? Like not so much the storylines, but like you as a person, like. You'd go to him, you know, he'd constantly say like, hey, you know, if you want to be used more, like, come to me with ideas and like do this and do that, and then you'd go to him and be like, you know, how about this and how about that? Oh, come on, bro. Like, and he'd sort of laugh, like, what are you mad about? You know, like, and I remember like even when me and Mickey first started dating, like, you know, I was on the out. I was a victim of circumstance, but I'll get into that in a minute. But like, as far as like every time a new regime came in, like, I'd go back to the bottom of the barrel because they had no idea who I was. Do you know what I mean? So every time a new person took over, I'd go right back to the bottom of the pile. I have to sort of prove myself all over again to the next new guy and the next new guy. And like, I remember going up to Vince one time and just being like, Vince, like, you know, what's the point in me, you know, doing this and this? And he'd be like, bro, what are you mad about, bro? Like, you're on a salary, and, you know, look, you're dating a hot girl, and blah, blah, blah. And I said, what the fuck's that got to do with anything? But then, and it was shit like that just made me sort of think, Vince just doesn't, you know, he just didn't understand, like, how, you know, to a wrestler, it's like you only get one chance, you know what I mean?
Yes, literally, and not for a very long period of time.
Right, not at all. But the British invasion thing was probably the thing that saved my bacon was the fact that, like, Dixie wanted me to work out, you know, she wanted me to succeed. And as a result of that, even she was able to identify that, you know, Brutus Magnus, the modern-day gladiator, was not going to cut it, you know what I mean? Not going to get the job done. So, thankfully, before I had a chance to really be sort of burned into anyone's memory, you know, they scrapped all that and they put me and Doug together, and they because they wanted to do something with Rob Terry as well. Rob Terry was at Bubba's school, and Bubba was kind of going like, this guy looks like like ridiculous, like, but you know, he's not ready to really wrestle yet, but but you've definitely got to, like, we can, you know, he's got to be used in some capacity. Like, hey, he's a Brit. he's a Brit, why don't we get, I don't know whether it was Bubba's idea all the way, but I know he had a big part in it. And it was like, how about this, and they go, well, we'll put you and Doug Williams together, because I think they've been looking for a spot for Doug, but we're sort of, because Doug sort of, he's weird, he falls into that category in terms of size of sort of like X division or heavyweight. Heavyweight. And he would, and for me, it's like you're a wrestler. Like, it doesn't really make any difference. But I think from their point of view, that was it would be quite often the sort of dilemma they'd find with Doug. They saw the tag division as a great, and I think like Beer Money was the hottest thing they had at the time. That was like the hottest act they had. And, that's about as American a gimmick as possible, even though half of the duo was Canadian. It was like that, and I think they just looked at the whole thing and went, this is a natural fit. And thank God, because it just, like, that was that, then we finally got a chance to sort of do something that actually got over and, like, sparked people's interest and was actually interesting and, like, and we could just wrestle, and Doug could handle, like, the mechanics of the match. So I could just so I could stay back and kind of learn through osmosis and absorb what was going on, and like, because it's not learning like moves, it's learning like how to structure a match properly and like how to, just little things like just learning how to communicate with each other, like in the dressing room, because it's like, I remember I used to sit there and listen to AJ and Joe have a conversation about their match and think like, I've never had a conversation like that ever. You know what I mean? And it would be stuff like that. That's the, and then when I go out, every now and then I've gone and done like an independent show. Like I'll go and every now and then, if the company let me, I'll go and do something for a guy that I want to help out, like Andy Quilden, like, Rev Pro and stuff like that. And I'll hear the guys putting the matches together and I'll think, God, like if you spoke like that in the locker room with us, people would just think, what the hell? But that's just because it's that sort of diplomatic way of phrasing things and cooperating with each other and stuff like that. But, the British invasion was like, it saved me because it gave me the chance to, like any good thing in wrestling, you enhance your strengths and you try and hide your weaknesses. My weakness at the time was the mechanics in the ring, and my strength at the time was character and the ability to talk, and Doug was probably the opposite. So we complemented each other well, and we both benefited. I think if you look at the quality of Doug's promos by the end of that run with British Invasion, and the quality of him as an entertainer, it would have increased quite a lot, and my ability in the ring increased a ton, during that time. So we both benefited each other in that respect.
So while the British Invasion are together, Nick, Hogan and Bischoff arrived in the company. What kind of impact, pardon the pun, did that make?
It changed everything, really. Like we had a good year in 2009, and we were sort of riding high on, us and Beer Money had sort of been the constant on almost every house show, and and all over the international tours, and consistently sort of, done well, and I think that Hogan them arriving, we all saw it as like, this is awesome, because I remember like distinctly them having a meeting, like a TV taping one day. Terry and Dixie and stuff got everyone together, and Terry gave this speech to all the talent where he sort of said, thanks for all your hard work and blah blah blah, and like things have been great, ratings are the best they've ever been, and we just want to let everyone know that as of now, like TNA is officially making profit, and it sounds like a thing to announce, but you have to remember that the company started in 2002, and with the scale of investment and everything else, to be turning a profit within a few years is quite significant, and they said, we are profitable, like the company is making, money, and, that's a testament to everyone's hard work so well, and everyone was like, this is great, and then it didn't seem like, it seemed like the dust had sort of barely even settled on that, and suddenly it was like, Hulk Hogan's coming, and I was like, I remember us all going like, jeez, like that's the
money's going down.
He smells money, brother, and because I do remember thinking at the time, like, it's amazing to me how like all these people that had done interviews saying I'd never go to TNA, like, no, that's like, I'm not going there, and then suddenly here they all were. But anyway, we all for us, like, it didn't benefit me because the first thing they did was basically say, like, here's all the talent that have